What's up, my fellow comic book readers? Guys, what's your number one through number six right now through the absolute universe? I'm gonna tell you mine and then give a little rundown of each issue from the latest of each run. And we're gonna go from worst to first. So as you can see, Absolute Flash is my least favorite, but I will say all six of them are good, right? I will also say that my sixth and fifth favorite, so Flash obviously being my sixth, and my fifth favorite, I know the least about. So the whole premise of Absolute is like it's a unique spin. It's a change of pace, change of character, change. So if you didn't know about Absolute, it's not the main storyline for those characters, right? Darkseid has done something, and it's made all the superheroes disappear or into alternate reality universe type things. And they're all living different types of lives right now. But I believe in December it's supposed to all come together. So we're going to start out Absolute Flash. The reason it's my number six is because it's the slowest pace out of all six of them, but also I know the least about Flash. So I do want to lead with that. I don't think this is a bad series. It's just pretty slow for me. And there's a lot of like name drops throughout the different issues of people that I just don't know. So again, not bad, just not enough to like draw in a person that's not big on Flash, right? Wally West doesn't really play a role in this other than picking up the phone on the final page as his dad's getting freaking like CIA black bagged over his head and pulled off into the sunset type stuff. But before he does that, he pulls together a team of misfits to, get thrown to the scientists to try to turn them into weapons. And they all agree to it because it's either that or go to prison. And I'm interested to see what they're going to do with them. I think we already saw who those people are in the first and second issue. First or maybe first and second, but first or second, definitely. But I think they're going to explain it a little bit more and maybe give us a little bit more, but I do need to read more Flash. Next up, number 5 on my list, we got Absolute Green Lantern. I will say issue 6 to me wasn't as good as issue 5. Issue 5 I read and I was like, yes, Green Lantern is going to start moving up my tier. Issue number 5 was such a freaking banger. Issue 6 was good, but it got back on the Green Lantern lore. And again, I don't know a whole lot about Green Lantern. So it got back on the Green Lantern lore, like the difference between green, white, red, black. It got into that and like, the tier system after they get judged and just a bunch of stuff going on that I just unfortunately didn't understand. But I am starting to read some Green Lanterns because my boy White Nerdy on TikTok is a big Green Lantern fan. He's constantly preaching, so it's kind of inspired me to start reading some more Green Lantern. So it's on my to-do list. But for now, this is sitting at my number 5. I am enjoying most issues that I read of Green Lantern. But again, it's a little bit slower paced than my top 4, and I don't know as much about it. So it be what it be. But that's my number 5. Next up, my number 4, and admittedly, again, I don't know a whole lot about Martian Manhunter, but the art style that is going on in this right now is crazy. And there's actually a story that you can kind of follow along with without knowing anything about Martian Manhunter, right? So the Green Martian is the good guy, White Martian, bad guy. The Green Lantern is trapped inside John's head, and he's trying to make John do good things and at least see good things, right? And the white Martian is trying to like draw the bad out of everybody, not just John, but draw the bad out of everybody in the world and trying to like destroy the world from them with themselves, right? But the Green Lantern is using John to fight that. And in this issue, John is finally ready to talk to his wife about what's going on in his life. And I thought this was a really solid issue. I really enjoyed. This is probably my favorite Martian Manhunter issue, excluding maybe the first. When I first picked up the first issue, and I was like, oh my God, the art in this is crazy, right? But this issue is my favorite. Next up, number 3 on the list, and I know a lot of people, because the villains are villaining in Absolute Batman, just like they do in every Batman series, right? Absolute Batman, issue number 11. This issue is 100% about Bane. It goes into his absolute Bane. It is explaining Bane in this realm, right? So Bane was raised by freedom fighters. He was literally born during war, and he went to prison, and in the prison, like the tide would come in at night and the water would fill up his cell all the way up until like the last couple inches, to where he had to hold on to the cage to breathe air. And he said he learned to fall asleep He learned to fall asleep holding onto the bar while floating in the water. He learned to pick sand, like water fleas out of his freaking skin. He learned all this crazy shit. And the whole time, somehow, he just keeps getting bigger and bigger and just gigantic, man. And then something happens, and this dude is such a bad guy. Like, he literally has the bad, like, the worst art, like, the worst freaking background, right? Like, this dude offed one of his parents, man. Like, and it doesn't really explain why he did it. He literally just goes over, talks to this guy, comes back, and he tells his dad, like, I can see what you're talking about now, and then goes to hug him and then crushes him, dude. Like, crazy. But Bane is after Batman. He's pretty much, this whole story is like, I'm going to get Batman. Batman, there's nothing you can do, little man. And Bane can definitely say, like, Batman, I think, is 6'10" in this realm, in this world, and Bane, like, literally looks down on him, like, kneecap down, like, crazy, right? Number 2 on my list. So now that you've seen my number 6 through 2, you can probably guess what my number 1 is. But we're going to talk about number 2, Diana, Wonder Woman. She's just such an inspiration, such a good person, such a good Amazon. She's down in the maze, the prison maze right now, and she's come across another Amazon finally, Io. And, you know, they're both exchanging kind of like, you know, what they're doing as good people. And they're in prison, so they have to be quiet. And they're looking for a way to free all these people, because they're not like war criminals or something. They're literally just like wrongfully imprisoned slaves, more or less, right? And Diana comes to find out that Io had a way to escape like centuries ago, but decided she was going to stay back because she didn't want to abandon all the other people. And it showed Diana, she's like, wow, I had this like huge expectation of what Amazons are supposed to be as good people. And Io is really showing me that like my expectations are met. Like, Amazons are good people, good-hearted, and want the best. They're going to save people. So Diana and Io are putting together a plan. Diana jumps up, because there's a huge like 200-foot pit. She jumps up the pit and starts fighting the bad guy and frees Ferdinand, because Ferdinand's being like chained and prodded and whatnot, and frees Ferdinand, and then it kind of ends right there, right? But there's a lot going on in this, and it's just like my number 1. Diana's kind-heartedness, but willing to fight for what she believes in, is an inspiration, and it makes for a good comic book. And then my number 1, look at that, like, just the art on the cover, bro. This is the A cover. That's wild, right? That's the A cover. Absolute Superman, issue number 11. Absolute Superman and Jason Aaron. I didn't mention everybody else's, but Jason Aaron is my GOAT. So I almost feel obligated to like this, but that's not why I like it, right? Jason Aaron just really can't do any wrong. But enough of Jason Aaron. We're talking about Absolute Superman. Kal-El he's strapped to a table. He's kind of being held hostage right now. The Brainiac and Asa Ghul have him like running through these scenarios in his head, and they're trying to break his brain. They're trying to make him kill a court and his family and shit over and over and over. And Asa Ghul's like, hey, do this 3,000 times, and it's going to break his brain, and we're going to turn him into the bad guy we want him to be, right? But it's Superman, dude. They're on like run 9,000 and 10,000. And instead of breaking Superman, Superman has started breaking Brainiac's like little minions, you know, because he has Brainiac 1, Brainiac 2, 10, 11, whatever. And Superman has been convincing these minions that are robots essentially to uprise, to like fight for their freedom and shit. And Brainiac's like, Brainiac, honestly, he says that he feels lucky because he has the opportunity to dive into such a strong-minded person and prod inside of his brain. And Brainiac is a maniac, you know, play on words, right? Which is where he got his name probably, right? He's crazy, and he's just like losing his mind on his minions, but then looks at Superman with this like rage, but I think it's like envy also, right? Like he's just like, he's so strong-minded, like I gotta find out what makes this guy tick, but also break him because Brainiac is working for Asa Ghul, and Asa Ghul wants to use Superman to run the world type stuff, right? But Superman is just such a good guy. He's resisting this. And then Lois and Jimmy break loose from their prison because Lois's dad gets in there, right? And then they go over there and they're trying to break Superman out of it. And I don't want to jump the gun because the writing, the scenes, like the art in this is beautiful too. Giandomenico. I butchered that name, and I very much apologize. I meant to use it as a compliment, but I butchered your name. I apologize. The art in this is beautiful also. Absolute Superman art in it is beautiful. Absolute Batman. All of these, the artist, look, if I don't like the story, if you don't like the story, there's one thing you can't take away. The cover art and the art inside these books, gold. But at the end, it kind of appears that Jimmy was able, because Lois is, something happens. I know I'm giving some spoilers, but something happens. Lois gets distracted. She's over there dealing with her distraction. And Jimmy's still like, Superman, come on, wake up. Because Superman's kind of like in a coma type thing. So they can run all these scenarios and fuck with his brain, right? And then Jimmy's like, come on, man, wake up. We really need you. And it appears this Superman comes back online and Soul is back online, because they did say they killed Soul, but at the end it says that Soul's back online. So I'm not sure if it's another scenario that Brainiac is running to try to break him, or if Superman is actually free. You know what I mean? But this ongoing, like, each issue is a banger. The storyline is a banger. Each issue ends with you wanting more. Each issue ends with you feeling satisfied with what you read. I really can't get enough of everything that this team right here, these three people, even the color, right? Even the color, Arreola. Again, I'm sorry, I probably butchered the name. The only one I can read is the easy to pronounce one, right? But if you're not reading Absolute Superman, if you don't read any of these, I definitely recommend Absolute Superman and Absolute Wonder Woman 2. This is like this is like 1A, 1B scenario, right? But even if you're not going to read any of those, guys, if you're not going to read any of those that I just went over and recommended, definitely pick up something and read it today. Stimulate that mind. If you disagree with the list, which I know a lot of you are going to, let's talk about it, man. Let's talk why I'm wrong, why you're right, you know. And I'm one of those people. I value everybody's unique opinion. I'm hard-headed. I'm going to stick to mine. But just because I believe in mine, they're opinions, you know. I want to hear y'all's opinion on what you think is good and great and bad and worse and blah, 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 blah about the Absolute series. So leave some comments. Let's talk about it. Either way, have a great day, guys.